Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. Today, we're going to be on the session of youth leaders in AI. So basically, our discussion will be more about what AI technologies uh, to the next generation of AI leaders is developing and what are the values they are embedding AI with. Also, I'd like to welcome the speakers, Ecem from Turkey, founder of Techno Ladies and Generation AI Youth Council member at the World Economic Forum, and Joy as well, Fakudi from South Africa, Generation AI Youth Council member at the World Economic Forum. We have also Mahmoud El Gindi from Egypt, and he's the co-founder and CEO of Protina. And we have Domenico Finziano from Italy, and he's the co-founder of Intech. And I'm the moderator, Asim Omar. I'm a PR and media consultant. So welcome, everyone. I'd like to quickly brief our audience about everyone. So Ecem is a 19 years old gender equality advocate, and she's also the founder of Techno Ladies, an organization that promotes inclusion in AI and technology, helping close the gender gap in Turkey by creating a supportive platform to encourage young women to follow their passion in the field of tech. And we'll definitely get to know more in the session about basically what Ecem does. We also have Domenico, and he's an international key opinion leader in the field of surgical simulation and healthcare technologies. So definitely we will be speaking to him about technologies and the latest AI technologies in the healthcare. He was a speaker for over 95 international events, coordinated since 2014 of over 90 training events in 16 countries. So this is the whole experience, and this is where we're going to speak with Domenico about. We have also Mahmoud. He have an academic background in chemical engineering and business. He worked as a market research analyst with Qatar on different projects with companies, with various companies, and then he started his venture Delta Oil in the clean tech space. And now, after staying as a CEO for 2 years, he had a partial exit to start Protina in early 2020. So he is a fresh startup about a biotechnology company building the next generation full stack biomanufacturing platform. Also, he integrates AI, computation, and biological automation for vaccines and antibodies. And finally, we have Joy, which is the aspiring teacher and member of the AI Youth Council at the World Economic Forum's Generation AI project, and she's based in South Africa. So welcome, everyone. We're super excited to have you, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to start my first two questions for everyone. Let's start with Ecem. What drew you to working in AI, and tell us more about your work?
Thank you so much. So in terms of AI, I am doing both technical and more ethics focused work, because I think that those two should go hand to hand. I am currently an undergrad at Stanford, so I am involved with AI plus social good and public interest in technology lab, host service liaison, house. I'm involved with these kinds of groups. I have previously done some research in the field, especially regarding how to use the power of AI to address these huge challenges that we're facing today. One of the pieces of research that I conducted was on how to use machine learning to detect soil erosion on a global scale much more effectively and much more efficiently compared to today's methods. And just going by these examples, just seeing what we could achieve with in every way that I got involved with AI, seeing what we can achieve, seeing that huge potential, that always made me think about the dangers that could also lie within. And also, and because of that, I started doing some work on AI ethics. I've been involved with UNICEF's Children AI project, and most importantly, World Economic Forum's AI Youth Council, to make sure that everybody's voices can be included, can and should be included in this conversation. Especially as a member of youth and a woman, I am trying to create a more equal and basically a more equal environment where everybody's voices can be heard. So those are my AI experiences in a nutshell.
Perfect. And Joy, tell us more about AI and your work and what you basically do.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm part of the AI Youth Council at the moment, and I work more in the ethics part of it. I try my best to equip myself on knowledge on AI. Coming from South Africa, it's not something that is very welcomely spoken about. So I do my best to inform myself on it and then also branch or share the knowledge to younger generations as well as older generations, because in South Africa, it's unfortunately a very hush-hush topic. With the fast pace of the world and we're moving into the fourth industrial revolution, my focus is more on sharing the knowledge of not only AI, but the digital realm altogether to younger generations as well as older generations, so that we can work hand in hand to not only know about it, but also to possibly create innovations that could solve some of the social challenges we face, such as supply of water or food or basic access to education. So that's what I do. And I'm part of the AI Youth Council, kind of gathering the knowledge and working also on the ethics part of it.
Perfect. Don Nico, tell us more about what you basically do. What were the challenges facing your work?
So I'm a urologist, I'm a surgeon, and I'm working since more than 10 years for standardization and globalization of surgical training. So, when you are a surgeon, usually nowadays you still learn on the patient, which is leading to what we call learning curves. So mainly you start doing something on the patient without any organized prior system for learning how to make surgery, and you make your first mistakes on the patient, which is leading to a situation where at the beginning you have more complications, more blood loss, more operative time and whatsoever that is always paid by the patient in a way. So I'm working since at least 10 years to standardize and to globalize surgical pathways that are guiding the resident on simulators in order to achieve the surgical skills before they touch the patient. So it is easy, let's say, to make research on this. You can find a lot of research. What is not easy is to get in touch at a high level with the surgical societies, with the scientific societies internationally, to let them believe in this way of teaching, and to go down at the national level to convince the national societies to apply this protocol. So we made it since now 6 years with the first standardized protocols with the European Association of Urology. I'm in charge for training at the European level for the European School of Urology. And we are now working on widespreading these standards as much as possible. We reached the point where in having an outreach of around 40 countries, we don't have anymore enough tutors to teach these protocols. And it would be too expensive to send around the globe tutors for that. And this is where we are starting to use artificial intelligence. So due to the high standardization of what we've done and the high standardization of protocols of the teaching methodologies, we can now build up systems that are completely autonomous, that use algorithms to evaluate people in order to teach and to acquire data that are also blockchain protected all around the world, so that all the surgeons globally can train the same way.
Perfect. So Mahmoud, you do actually you built a full stack biomanufacturing platform. Tell us more about it and tell us more about the challenges that you face.
Okay, so basically we are a biotech company working in the protein engineering and protein production area. So like proteins are everywhere. So enzymes are proteins, insulin is a protein, antibodies are proteins, most vaccines that we know are proteins. And the normal way of doing a new protein or beta protein, a vaccine, for example, like usually you are doing that in the lab randomly, take a lot of time to do that. So like mostly we are doing millions of copies of vaccine, testing that in the lab. And then we have our candidate after a couple of months, if not years, very close to process. And usually we are not reaching our goal here. And so we are turning this wet lab process, very tedious process, to AI. So we are moving from discovery to engineering and designing the vaccine. So for analogy, like why we had the COVID vaccine very early for Moderna and BioNTech Pfizer vaccine, although there are RNA not proteins, that's the same approach here. We use the AI to design the vaccine a couple of days, very fast. So the first vaccine we have in the market done by AI here. So like moving forward, we think like AI will change the way we are doing drugs, whether like drugs already we have better drugs or even new drugs that we couldn't do before because like it is very tedious process and very costly to do that in the lab. So mainly that's our focus for now. So we are working in three verticals. One is fish health. So we're doing vaccines for salmon, for example, working with a company in Scotland, another vaccine for tilapia in Egypt, working with a pharma company to do an antibody for cancer. And also the third vertical is food. So mainly working with food companies to do proteins used in food and nutrition. Yes.
Perfect. And now I'm going to ask my question for Mahmoud and Domenico. You guys both work in AI and health tech. How do you see the cross-border collaboration possible? Let's start with Domenico.
So the cross-border collaboration is key in my case. As I told you, it is very important to globalize because in the end, we're all surgeons, we're all operating on people. And it doesn't matter if you are learning in Africa, if you're learning in the US, if you're learning in China or Russia. So this is why I'm starting right now a project. I'm professor at the University of New York, Hofstra University, and the State University of Moscow. We are starting a project to cross-learn and to cross-teach between Russia and US, which is also, in a way, peculiar considering the two countries. And it will be very interesting to see how different residents in such two different countries behave and react to the same training protocols. What can be the results? What can be the outcomes in terms of patient safety? So I think that cross-matching different countries, different methodologies, different backgrounds is absolutely critical, especially when we use an AI that is highly standardized. So we can really track the data and understand much more of what's going on.
Mahmoud, the same question. Do you see cross-border collaboration possible, and especially for startups? Is that something possible?
Sure. So like, I don't think there is a local startup now. So like, even like our team is between Cairo, Egypt, and California, US. But also we have team members in Toronto, Canada, and Singapore. So we are over the place here, and also like working with companies from Asia, Europe, US, or even academic partners. So like now working with more than 9 academic partners in different 5 countries. So somehow it's global now. So technology is global, it's not local, right? And also the problem that we are trying to solve here is global. So yes, so cross-border collaboration and whether for like academic partners or commercial partners is crucial here.
Yes. Joy and Jem, you guys are a part of the Youth AI Council, which belongs to the Generation AI project at the World Economic Forum. As a start, what is the AI Youth Council and what's the mission of this council? Let's start with the Jim.
Yeah. So the mission of our council is to basically create something that has never been done before, which is a platform that could bring together different perspectives, different youth basically from all around the world, and create them a safe and like supportive environment to share ideas, to learn more about AI, and to engage other youth. So the way we work is that it's a by youth for youth philosophy that we follow. And the beautiful thing with I think that the most beautiful thing about the World Economic Forum AI Youth Council is that we have so many people coming from so different backgrounds, different countries, different continents, different languages, and in this council we are able to see how, just like you said just before, how crucial it is to have international collaboration, to basically just include different people to the conversation, because the more we talk, the more points we see different between different geographies, different people. And the World Economic Forum Youth Council is a place that all those ideas can connect and find a common ground. So yeah, Joy, would you like to take over?
Joy, tell us what's the mission of the AI Youth Council, and tell us more about the toolkit that was developed to engage you, to engage youth actually in AI.
Okay. So as Ekon kind of said, the AI Youth Council mainly focuses on providing a platform for young people to equip themselves more on information about the AI realm. And what I love about it is that we work with people, or we engage with people that are in the realm already working with AI. And so we gain information from them. And something that we learned, or I learned from Web Rangers, is that information is better spread among teen or young people when it's said from another person your age. Then you understand, you speak the same language, it's the same lingo, and it's better spread and you understand, compared to an adult coming and explaining the exact same thing, possibly in the exact same words, and you're not understanding it. The toolkit that we developed was something we did very collaborative. I absolutely enjoyed it. We had different people coming in from multiple backgrounds, parents, companies, all kind of contributing to this toolkit. And something that I love most about it was that the youth were allowed to also contribute. We were allowed to also say, no, we don't think that's effective because 1, 2, 3. And an adult could combat that and say, well, as a person with a company's perspective, here's our point. And we were welcomed into the conversation, which is something the AI Youth Council focuses on, is getting the youth together, providing them with the information they need in order to invite them into the conversations so that they are part of it. Because in the future, we're going to have to take over. But how can we take over if we don't have the knowledge and we've never been given a platform to speak?
Jim, if I'm interested, or any of our audience are interested, how can I join you guys? How can I contribute to this council, or to your work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the upcoming months, we're gonna hold a recruitment process. And during this process, we're gonna most probably, yeah, we're most probably going to announce this process through our website. And we're also going to publish a blog post about who we are, what we do, so that the people who are interested can get more information on us, learn more about the work we do, why we do it, why it is important. And we're also going to announce on that same page how the process is going to go. I can't tell it right now, right here, but we are looking to extend our nets of youth, because the more youth we can connect with, the more people that we can reach, the more perspectives, the more diversity of thought, the more diversity of people gets into this conversation. So we're trying to reach out to more people, and we are going to hold a recruitment process in the very near future.
So it's still in process.
It is still in process, but right now, if you're interested, you
Yes.
can contact Joy or me, one of us, and we'll also let you know personally through email that we started our recruitment process. Would you like to apply?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Domenico, why youth should engage in AI?
Because we are in an era of optimization. Because AI can do by itself all these works that not really require the human factor, let's say. So, for example, in the healthcare environment, if we give to the AI all these parts that are doing test calculations and following guidelines and all the things that have been already written, where the human factor is not really required, then we can go back to empathy. Then we can go back to really following the patient, taking care of the patient, choosing the right words that sometimes we have to forget just because we have to follow many rules today. So AI can allow us to be even better, whatever job we are performing, to follow the rules the way they should be followed, adding that human part that today is critical, and that we need to still keep the interface between humans and humans.
Yes, yes. And Mahmoud, you have the hands-on experience. You started the same thing. How can, for youth and the next generation leaders who are interested in working in AI, how can they start?
Okay, so I think there are two things here: the technical work itself, and also the facade of the application part, or whether the ethics part of the AI, or maybe like even doing AI in business and so on. So technical part, like now that knowledge is out there on the internet, right? It's open source knowledge now. So like even if I want to apply to Britannia, who like some skill set, we are sharing with him or her the courses and videos that he can or she can like look at before even like joining Britannia. And we think now it's more of open source knowledge than the normal academic path for learning AI, the technical way I mean here. And it's a very new field, so like you will not find like a 20-year expert in AI now. So youth now has the space to like excel in that field, even if they don't have the experience of many years in. Yes.
Yes. Joy, how can I start? Tell me.
So how can you start in general with like a AI and
Yes.
Is that the question? Oh, okay. So how I started was definitely first, when I heard about it, you want to do research. What is AI? First of all, what is the abbreviation AI, artificial intelligence? Start there and then start doing your research, find resources. I struggle a bit when it comes to reading information. So I found videos that spoke more to me. I started at a rather young age. So I found videos that spoke more using the diction that I could understand, using pictures. And this is also a great way to also introduce kids into it. Find shows and TV programs where they speak on AI. And then also finding groups around in your community. I found Web Rangers, and that's where I gained majority of my knowledge. Before you can also branch into AI, make sure you understand the basics on the digital realm, such as your digital footprint, what is the dark net, how do you protect yourself, that first, and then you can build up into AI and then branch out the different levels of AI, what it's used, what is the daily AI that you interact with, but you're not even 100% certain. So for me, it's definitely doing tons of research. If it's something, if it's something you're interested in, definitely invest in it, because it is something everybody should be interested in, seeing as how our world is very quickly moving in that direction. So doing as much research as you can, whether it's books, videos, podcasts. There's some great podcasts right now on Spotify on AI for youth, so by youth as well. Just that knowledge and gaining the knowledge in that way, definitely.
Yes, so knowledge is definitely the key. What I really like is that we bring the global perspectives to the discussion. We have here contribution from Turkey, South Africa, Italy, Egypt. Ajem is even now based in the West Coast in the US. How do you think this unique perspective, based on the background, influence the way you build AI projects, Ajem?
Hi. So one of the things that affects, I think, so today actually one of my professors said that the AI systems that we develop are the mirrors of ourselves. And I think that the perspectives that we own, and this is why the more perspectives we get introduced to, the better. I think that the perspectives that we have, they have a way of sneaking into these AI algorithms that we develop. Whether if it's because of data, whether if it's because of the teams that develop these AI systems, the background that you have affects the way you interact with AI a lot. For example, I mean, it even affects the basic understanding of the concept that you have. In Turkey, most of the people still think of AI as a Terminator. I have in the past taken questions asking, does the toaster use AI? Or likewise. And this is because we don't get introduced to those important knowledge in certain countries, in certain backgrounds.
Yes.
And it is true that there's a huge gap between, more developed countries and developing and underdeveloped countries. And I feel like it is because the perspectives that we have affect the way we interact with AI so much, we need to start closing that gap. We need to start working towards closing that gap. And there are so many ways to do that. Again, I see AI Youth Council as a way that we try to do so. Yeah, I feel like we should start bridging, like coming from a more developing country, like more on the lesser side of the spectrum, to the more knowledge side of the spectrum, to the US West Coast. I feel like we should really start bridging those gaps, and we should start introducing more and more people into this topic.
And I guess this is what Mahmoud was trying to do. He even said that he have team members from all over the world. Mahmoud, you worked on, like bridging the gap that Ajem was talking about. Tell us more about how do you think, like people from global perspectives can influence the way that we build AI projects?
Okay. So I don't think so. Okay. So like here, the baseline is common here, right? So like whether the technical work that we are doing here or even the mission that we are working on is somehow common here. So like it's about talents. So it's for our team. So like having talents is crucial for us here, and that's what we're searching for mainly. Whether the talents are in Egypt, US, or somewhere else. But basically, I think like with technology and AI, it's the most common language that we can speak together as global citizens here. So I don't think that like there's no one is coming from a different perspective, because like he's often coming from different country, but I think it's the same language here we're talking to. Okay, awesome.
Perfect. Yes, just internet. I'd also like to ask Dominique about how do you see AI empowering youth and the next generation leaders in changing the status quo and building a truly, like promising future regarding the AI.
So as told, the AI can provide optimization. As Tim told before, it has to be designed absolutely properly, because it is just reflecting our minds, or better, the mind of the creator of the system. So if you use AI, for example, for selling, and it is just suggesting you some product based on your latest research, then it's something. But if you use AI for regulating things, then it can be more riskful. And so I think that it is very important for youth to understand the power of AI and use it in the correct way, in the correct applications, avoiding to overcome the human factor that we were talking before, trying to, in a way, couple always the oversee of humans, which might go a little bit against the super technologies that we are dreaming of. But still, the thing that AI can be biased by its designers can be very, very risky. So it is very important that the next generation leaders understand completely what is the tool that they are shaping, what is the tool that they are designing to guide our daily life, our behavior sometimes, because we also have to consider that today internet and all these tools that we regularly use, such as Amazon or Facebook, in a way, with its internal AI, is shaping our way of thinking, it's shaping our way of living, our way of making choices, the style, what we're going to do. So yes. It is very important that there is a full, complete knowledge. So it's important to study a lot before starting to build something.
And this brings me to my next question to you, which what are the challenges that you're facing in engaging, or the engagement in AI?
For me personally, the biggest challenges are to find the right people to collaborate with. So of course, each of us has very specific understanding of a part of the big picture. Unfortunately, we have just one or very few Elon Musks that are able to think of the rocket and design it by itself. So I think the biggest challenge is to find someone who is believing in your project, someone who is understanding your project, because if you're a visionary, you have a vision of something that is not existing yet. Otherwise, you're not a visionary. So it is very important. The biggest challenge is to find the one who is understanding your vision, believing in your vision, and putting his blood in your vision with his own understanding and knowledge and backgrounds. So this is why it's so important to make such meetings, to meet each other and to find people that believe in a different future.
Definitely, I agree with you 100%. Joy, how can youth collaborate without borders?
I think a very easy way to kind of collaborate without borders is find groups such as the AI Youth Council, as we're being informed about it, and find such groups, but also the promoting of those groups. What companies could do is promote such groups, because not only are those skill-based, but they're also knowledge-based. And as the Professor Dr. Domenico said, it's important to gain the knowledge in order to actually shape the tool properly, because without the necessary knowledge, we're going to derail, and then AI becomes something that turns against us, even though it's a tool that could be really well used to better the lives of many people. So the promoting of groups such as, groups such as the AI Youth Council groups such as Web Rangers. In South Africa, we have a group called Web Rangers, and they basically teach more on the digital realm, less so on AI, but more in the digital realm, so that you understand what you're doing on social media. You're not just posting, but what exactly you're doing, how to keep yourself safe, and so on and so forth. Finding such groups, and something that companies or larger corporations could do is also promote such groups, because the better people know about it, or the more people know about it, the more young people can gain knowledge from it and interact more with AI, or with the right knowledge they need for the future.
Yeah. Jen, tell us more about Techno Ladies, and why did you start the technology?
Yes, of course. Just as Joy said, it is important for organizations such as Web Rangers and AI Youth Council and similar organizations that exist. Actually, my story and the story of the adventure of Techno Ladies started the same way. I attended an intensive summer course called AI for All as a high school freshman. And there I was able to get my hands on challenging coding skills and higher level Python that I needed to be able to actually conduct my own projects and to really get into the field. Because there are actually many things the youth lacks in terms of getting into the field, but I see that usually two main things are the tools and the support they need to get into the field. So having that opportunity and seeing how it just changed so much for me, I wanted to do the same in my community as well. And I tried to focus on these two basic lacks, these two basic points that the youth lacked when they wanted to get into the field. And I have known throughout my whole lifetime so many young women with so much just huge potentials who were discouraged by their friends, by their families, by the general society to pursue their passion, to pursue their dreams. So what I did when I came back from that summer camp, the same fall, I established Techno Ladies in the hopes of creating a similar supportive environment within Turkey that could just give that requires support and that requires tools to women, young women from all kinds of different backgrounds. I especially wanted to make it kind of decentralized in a way so that I could reach to different parts of the country, especially because, for example, in bigger cities such as Istanbul, we have more access to resources to get into the field. This is not true for smaller towns and cities where the access to even education is sometimes limited. And we've actually had participants who didn't have stable Wi-Fi connections, who had to travel across like really long roads, who had to travel to different places just to get to Wi-Fi. And we had to find a way to reach out to them. So that's what we've been trying to do for the past 4 years. We've been trying to be that helping hand to those young women who say that, oh, I want to get into the field, but I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I can get into the field because it's tech. Girls don't do tech, because there's this wrongful statement, this wrongful understanding, unfortunately, in both the Turkish society and in general the world, that tech is not girlish, tech is not for girls. This is a very outdated perspective that is just, if you ask me, senseless, but it is something that we need to work to fight against, to push back against. The same could be said for so many other background characteristics. So basically, yeah, what technology tries to do is that to basically just add more diversity to the conversation of AI in Turkey, to the field of AI and field of tech in general, because we started off with AI, but we then you know, some of our participants wanted to learn Java, and some of them want to try web coding. They were all very so much passionate about the work they did, and
Yes.
just seeing their reactions when they first wrote a running code, and like when they first actually did something with the code they wrote, that is the most priceless things ever. That is the most priceless thing ever, because you see that like pure joy of being capable of, for the first time, maybe thinking that they could actually achieve their dreams. So yeah, that is the
That's quite
mission
interesting.
of
A long
technology.
journey.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is. It is still a constant
Yes.
one, and I'm going to echo what Joy said again. We should be supporting, and we should be raising awareness regarding these kind of organizations. There are a lot of them all around the world. AI Global Shapers and AI Future Lab being one. We need to basically just support and boost up these organizations so that they can reach.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Mahmoud, we know now we know your why. We want to know how did you start briefly? How did you start your startup?
How? So like, okay. So we started the company in Cairo, Egypt first, and then we were two co-founders, and the aim was like to like, so our main mission here is to build what we call a biotech hub out of MENA region. So like, there is no ecosystem for deep tech here in the region, and we believe that through Protinia we can build this nucleus for a biotech hub in Africa and MENA, and AI is in the core of that technology. So like, so working in drugs or biopharmaceuticals in general, it was only for big companies because it was very costly process, very long-term process, and because this being shifted from wet lab, this very high capex, high opex wet lab, moved to AI and software, it can now be done anywhere, even with a smaller budget. And it only need more innovation and less money here. So we have like this barrier to entry for that. So we started the company in Cairo, Egypt, and then we joined IndieBio in California, a biotech accelerator in California. And from there, we started like to grow our team. So we got our investment from 3 funds based in Silicon Valley, pre-seed round, and now we are raising our seed. Yes, I think Asim, like we lost Asim now.
No worries. I'll take over. Thank you very much. And actually, a follow-up question on that. So when you first started the company in Egypt, were you adamant to start it specifically from Egypt? And what were the challenges / if anything, actually opportunities that you had because you were starting a hub out of Egypt in MENA?
So actually, okay, so we thought like the infrastructure that we have, or what we had then, like the lab space and so on, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, of course. It wasn't that bad, but there are great talents from Egypt and here in the region, whether in the region or abroad, and want to return back. And that's why how we celebrated. So 70% of our team members are coming from US and Europe back to Egypt. And actually, although we have some challenges, but also the cost structure of being in Egypt for us as a early stage company is very low compared to US Europe. So we have now 35 team members. 18 of them are having background in AI, bioinformatics, and so on and so on. And we get great team members from big universities like Harvard, Toronto, McGill, San Diego, MIT, UCL, Imperial College London, to back to Egypt, or companies like Huawei, Amazon, others. So we could like have this talents back to Egypt, building this nucleus, because again, like part of that is a mission and the culture that we are building here. But also like we had to plug into other ecosystems, whether in US, of course, to be part to like whether the advising, whether the mentorship, whether the investment, because like it's not here in the region in MENA and Africa. We don't have that. So we had to, between the two worlds, right? Being in Africa and MENA to do the work, also like have like an access to Silicon Valley resources. We can say that, whether companies, again, like and money and so on.
Terrific. And by the way, fellow speakers, I know that we have 10 minutes. So if anyone does have anything to jump on, please feel free to go right ahead. I just want to check out, are you good to go to take over? I think we might still be having issues with Asim's connection. And so, Mahmoud, thank you for that answer, because I just, what I got is that in many ways, the opportunity was sort of re-attracting talent that are Egyptian back to the region. And I reckon that maybe COVID and the fact that we're working remotely actually was an opportunity for that, because people were more flexible to work cross borders. So that was an opportunity. And then what you did need to manage is making sure that you have access to funding. So that's what I got out of that question. I wanted to ask here. I wanted to ask Asim to unmute because he's sending me a private message and asking me to unmute. So Asim, whenever you are able to jump in on the conversation, just feel free to do so. The question that I wanted to ask is, in the last 10 minutes, and also coming in from the audience, for the folks who are listening in, particularly the youth, and we have had registrations from all different regions from the world. You touched upon a lot of other topics already during the conversation, from talent investments to how do I actually access the AI conversation, the educations, the resources. But if you were to leave the audience with a message, what would you like the youth to know about artificial intelligence? Perhaps something that you knew or maybe did not know when you first started working in the field. But this is a virtual microphone to the youth who are listening in, whether live or in the recordings and the podcasts published after. So if you were to share one message with the youth listening in about AI, what would it be? We'll do this as a round robin. So Mahmoud, I'll start with you again.
Okay, so it's not easy question to have an answer for, but so I think that the future is for AI. I think whether it will be a bad thing or a good thing, so in our hand. So we should handle that in the future. But I think now there is a great applications the AI can work in and solve our problems, whether in health, especially that we're working in as Britannia, or other areas whether transportation, supply chain. And now there's a global problem in supply chain, and we are still doing that using pen and paper. So using AI to only optimize our supply chain and our logistics will improve what already is being done here in the world. Yes.
Thanks for that. And by the way, speakers, when you share your question, feel free to spotlight anything that you want specifically from your region. So Mahmoud, actually, is there anything that you wanted to speak about Egypt specifically when it comes to youth in Egypt for AI? Is there anything to share there? What would you like them to know?
For Egypt?
You're Egyptian, man.
Yes, I'm Egyptian, yes. So because it's a global question, right? So I think now the technology and the know-how doesn't have to move from west to east. I think it can be done the opposite way now, because it's again global, and where the talent is, the technology can be in that place. And so it's not
borderless.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's borderless.
Yes, borderless. Yes. And yes, again, because now there's a stereotype of coming from MENA and Africa or emerging markets is being seen as disadvantage, or being you will not get something from there, right? But I think it's the total opposite now, because yes.
That's changing. It's changing. Absolutely. And I see Joy nodding, so we'll move to Joy. What's the message that you would leave the youth with about AI, and if there's anything specifically about South Africa that you'd like to share?
For South Africa, something I took away from web ranges, or one of the things I took away from web ranges, was read. And I never fully understood what they meant by read. And I was like, should I read the newspaper? Should I read comic books? What should I read? And it's basically what you're passionate about, read. Find out more information. We unfortunately in South Africa don't have access to much. However, that which we do have access to, that internet cafe all the way down the road, around the corner, you have to take so many turns. Go to it. Go there. open it up, read, and find information on what you're passionate about. I always saw AI as something very daunting, and I always thought it was bigger than me. I can't get into this. This is for the highly skilled and knowledgeable people. But as soon as I started reading up on it and I found texts that spoke more using the diction that I understood, and you start small, you first understand the cyber world. What is your digital footprint? How do you keep yourself safe? All of that. And you start branching out slowly, slowly into AI. And pretty soon we'll all be as awesome as Dr. Dinamico here. So find information, read up on it. And if it's something you're passionate about, read, 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 read. And once you get the knowledge and you understand, share the knowledge that you have, because you might inspire someone else to read up on it as well. So for me, for the youth in South Africa, as a message, read. Go out there, whatever it is you're passionate about, not only just AI, but whatever it is you're passionate about, go out there, find the information that is necessary, and equip yourself on the knowledge.
Beautifully said, Joy, and especially the fact that if you look at the age demographic or the age median in Africa, it's mainly youth. And it's the region that has the most youth in the world, along with the Middle East and Botswana. Beautifully said. Asim, I want to check with you. Are you able to unmute yourself and take it from here?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, so Ejim and Domenico are left to share their final messages with the youth. I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so I just want to, finalize our conversation to final messages. I guess we're good in time, Saif, yeah?
Yes, but if you can ask Ejim and Domenico what their final message to share with the youth are about AI.
Yes, yeah. So that was my question to Ejim and Joy. I want to know your message to the youth who are interested in AI. That's the thing. And the other thing is, you guys are really good examples to youth. Ejim, you're 19 years old. It's a story to tell, So I'd like to give messages and quick. I'm not going to say advices because most of youth. I'm 23 years old, but the thing is, we don't hear much to advices. We can hear to experiences. So, yeah, final messages.
I think what I want to leave today with is that take a leap. So don't wait for other people to make space for you in the field. There is a space for you in the field. Take that space, take up the space you need, find your resources. Joy said very beautifully, read, watch, just take that step and get engaged with it. If you have a passion, if you have a passion, if you have an interest in this field or anything else, take that step, take that initiative, just throw yourself into it. Because what's the worst that could happen? Because from my experience, I too always thought that AI was too big of a thing for me to get involved in, because I didn't know how to code until I was in the 8th grade, and then I had to learn how to code through websites, which I didn't understand, because there's also the language barrier for countries who don't speak English. I didn't even understand the language that those websites were written in. And yeah, it just seemed impossible, but you have to keep pushing forward. You have to keep fighting for your space. We are, AI Youth Council, Web Ranges, Technologies, Future Lab, these kind of organizations, we are going to help you push forward to take up the space that you deserve, that you have the right to. But yeah, take the leap. That's what I'm going to say.
And it's all about persistence as well.
It is persistence, exactly, persistence, and just believing that you belong there, because you belong there. I know that because of the very aged gender norms, or just basically all these norms that we have in our societies, all these discriminations, these gaps that we have in our societies. You do at times feel out of place when you're the only girl in a 30-person robotics team or like a 20-person CS class. You do feel out of place, but you have to remember that you are in your place. You deserve to be in that place. You have the right to be there just as much as anybody else there. So
and also the reason why you started.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the reason. That's the thing. That's the thought that led to the foundation of Technologies.
Joy, you said reading, you said knowledge. What else?
First and foremost, before I go speak again, I think Dr. Donamico, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it properly, but he hasn't really had the chance to say, so I'll come back after he has said his final word.
Okay, Domenico.
So take a message. First of all, yeah, take the lead. That's absolutely core, and bring on your ideas. But I would say don't confuse AI with magic. AI is not magic. AI is software. AI is a series of if-then, meaning that it's just an optimization of of what our mind is able to do. Of course, we will assist to a vertical improvement of the capabilities of AI, because we are living the exponential growth of technologies. And of course, computers will soon be, if they are not already, much more intelligent than us. So they will be able to evolve our if-thens to make them more efficient, to grow up them by themselves. But this means that we need to be very careful of what we design, because today AI is just a fancy stuff. Today is the latest technology everyone wants to get involved in. But when tomorrow AIs will guide governments, will guide the judgment of people, will guide whatever we do in our daily life, because they will assist us, they will empower us with something that we don't have in our mind, then at that point, it will be very, very important that it has been built up by people who know what they are doing, which is the people we're talking to, which is the next generations. So it's very, very important. You know, I consider myself still as a youngster, because when you are 41 years old in the medical field, you are still a youngster. I mean, it takes so much time to become a doctor, to become a specialist. And having an impact in the healthcare world, I can tell you, is hard, because the healthcare world is moving on some dynamics that are not the business. It's not hype, it's just evidence, it's trials, it's scientific evidence, so everything takes time. So it's much more difficult to apply what we are building up in the healthcare system, but it will happen. So please, whoever you are, whatever is the challenge that you're taking on with AI, just do it with ethics in mind, doing the proper way, and do not fool with it, because it can be very, very harmful.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Donny. Thank you so much. Joy, final message.
Again, another final message for me, for specifically youth in South Africa, would be collaborate. In South Africa, me being a young person, I see people as awesome as Ejim coming up with amazing groups such as Signal Ladies, and I go, well, I'm like the same age as her. Here I am doing nothing. Don't take it like that. Draw inspiration from it and find a way to collaborate with her, especially if someone that is within your area or within your country or within your continent even. Find a way to collaborate with them, contact them, email them, send them a DM on Instagram, use the tools you have around you in order to collaborate with them. You might be able to gain knowledge from it. You might be able to actually become part of the company. Don't feel discouraged. I know for myself, as I said, Ekham and I work together at the AI Youth Council, as well as other members in the AI Youth Council. They do amazing and wonderful things. And instead of me feeling, well, okay, well, I'm bringing nothing to the table, draw inspiration from them. Always draw inspiration from people and take in the knowledge that they have to give.
Definitely, and go the extra mile as well, and never be shy.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Ajem, founder of Techno Ladies and Generation AI Youth Council member at the World Economic Forum. Thank you so much for joining us today. Joy Fakudu from South Africa, Generation AI Youth Council member at the World Economic Forum. Thank you so much. Mahmoud El-Gindi, the co-founder and the CEO of Proteina from Egypt. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Domenico Vinciao from Italy, co-founder of Intech. Thank you so much for joining us on a short notice. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure moderating this session. I hope you've enjoyed the session as much as I did. Thank you, Saif, from the Future AI Labs, for bringing us together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, awesome.